just gonna stand over here and speak at a moderate volume. I imagine you can probably see my face from here. Yeah, we're gonna be building today. Today I'm gonna be building some stretcher bars for some canvases I'm gonna be making. We'll see how it goes. See how it goes. Alright. I don't know how much of me you can see at this point, but so for these I'm gonna make some 2 by 3 foot canvases. Make 2 of them, and usually the way that works for me is I like when I make 2 canvases out of like the same wood, then I consider them like twins canvases. So they usually, I paint them at the same time. They illustrate very different ideas and different concepts, and yeah, we'll see. I don't totally know what I'm going to do for these yet. I think one of them I'm going to do some tomatoes, but yeah, we'll see. Right now I'm just marking out where I'm going to need to cut. So I have, on this piece, I have 2 3-foot sections. And I also like to mark the side of the wood just so I don't get lost when I'm cutting. You're buying some wood. I go for 2x4s because I do everything overkill, and depending on the size of the canvas, if I do heavier wood for the sidebars, then I don't have to use anything on the crossbeam. I don't have to do a crossbeam at all, which is nice. Granted, I kind of like building canvases like I'm building a house. So just like a lot of extra effort goes into these so that they last forever. I think of the canvas as like, the painting is the whole thing. It's the canvas, the stretcher bars, and the paint on top of it. I think that the building of the canvas should be as important as the painting of it. So that's why I take so much time making sure that it's sturdy and made out of proper materials and it's going to last a long time. Right. So this one, I find the side of the wood that I like better. It's a little bit smoother. It's going to be this side. Lay it down flat. Take my tape measure and do the same thing as the last one. So this is going to be 3 feet. And then this is going to be 3 feet. Cool. I was actually super happy at, I feel like I found some really, really nice pieces of wood at Home Depot this time, which was great. I feel like I'm going to be able to make a really nice product with that. And this is nice too. These are not like super big canvases. These are medium size, which is super nice. I just got finished doing like a 8-foot piece, which was a lot. Sometimes I make these lines a few times, just like, I feel like they aren't always super straight. And so, just gotta make sure I got all the information before I move on. So at the end, my piece of wood, basically it's going to have all these markings on it, so I don't know if you can see. It's going to have like this triangle here, which is going to be the 45, that I'm going to then fold together, and that'll make my angle for the canvas. And these are just rectangles, not doing anything fancy this time. I think I'm going to get into some more advanced ones eventually, but we'll see. 2 sets of 2 feet. And since we're ending at the 4 foot, the rest of that piece is still going to be usable for whatever project I end up wanting to do in the future. Can't do anything without a square. So I learned how to do this in college with power tools, and that's like how a lot of people end up doing it. But I have found that when I took a year off, I really enjoyed the process of cobbling together some stretcher bars with minimal resources. And so that's what I'm doing here. Ugh. Cool. 3. The reason you want to add quarter round to the top of these boards is so that the canvas has a little sharp lip to stand on, so that you're not like painting on top of a fully flat thing. You want to have that little edge so that the whole canvas is the same amount of flexibility and malleability. Otherwise you get weird like streaks because you can't get the same paint texture when you're painting on a flat piece of wood versus on like when there's nothing supporting the canvas. So that's what we're doing. And this is interesting. This is a different quarter round than I'm used to. I think because they have all the like barcodes actually printed on, which I think is fine. I don't think it's going to cause a big issue. But one side of the quarter round is going to be longer than the other side, and you're going to have the long side positioned on top of the wood. That's what's going to be glued down, so that creates a strong bond. I have a buddy that buys me a bunch of hammers for birthdays and whatever, so I I just use them. They're nice. It's a thoughtful gift. And a lot of times your wood glue is going to dry out. Oh, we got some. We got some. Alright, so here I'm just going to glue the portion of the wood that I'm actually going to be putting the quarter round on top of. Like the rest of it I'm not using for these canvases, so I'm going to keep it as clean wood so that I can use it for a future project. This is coming out pretty slowly, but that's okay because I usually use too much anyway, so this will help me make sure that I don't. There we go. Look how easy that is. Nice. All right. And then for this piece of quarter round, take the long side and fold it back onto the glue. And so here what you're going to want to do, oh, damn, fell on the ground. That should be fine. Take this piece of debris off. So yeah, what you're going to want to do, lay it flat. And then the first nail is the most important. You're going to want it pretty close to the center. It actually doesn't really matter if you crack the quarter round, because the glue is what's going to hold it in place, not the nails. But the nails are to hold it in place while it is gluing. Obviously, it's preferred if you don't crack it. You want it to be a nice, stable piece. But do what you can. That's it. Really don't need too many nails. For a 2-foot section, I usually just use 3. One in the middle, one on either side. And that's probably enough. Cool. So now this piece is done. For this, portion. Move on to the next piece of wood. This one I actually need to flip around while we let this dry. And so this one, I actually nailing the whole piece down. So again, we're going to want to take that long side of the quarter round, line it up, and then start gluing. All the way down. Oh, it's so easy. Love a new tube of glue. Alright. And yeah, I do usually use too much glue, so a lot of it will drip off the sides, but that's not a huge deal. Now take one of our nails. Again, you're going to want to nail pretty close to the center, if you can. First nail is the most important. The rest of them you just figure out. You gradually go along to the edge. And if you're using power tools, you really don't want these nails to be too close to where you're going to be cutting. For me, it's not as big a deal. I wouldn't call this like a quick and easy process. It takes a good amount of time, and you gotta be prepared for that. Like, if you want a really, really nice canvas for a reasonable price, you're making it yourself, then you're gonna have to put in the hours. This hammer is actually lovely. I haven't had a chance to use this one too much yet, But this is such a heavy hammer. Really enjoying it. Takes almost no effort to drive these nails in. Super nice. All right. Last piece. You guys don't need to watch this. Spent a couple minutes, took a break, had a meal. But now I got these 3 pieces all the way down. Got the quarter round pretty stable. So, next, we're gonna do some sawing. So I have these 2 pieces of wood here that I'm gonna put underneath. Give me some stability. Put this glue away. Any kind of wood glue is fine for that kind of thing. But yeah, and then I use a what is this? A bow saw? I use a bow saw, which most people would say is not very smart. But the reason I do it is because I really like it. I think it's phenomenal. It goes really fast. It's not super exact, but I don't need it to be like crazy exact. I want the canvas to be flat. That's the biggest thing. And so this is like, it's 2 inches of pine, which is not easy for a lot of things to get through. And so I use a material that's usually used to cut through like dead trees and stuff. Again, power tools would make this process a lot easier. Every cut that I make takes me around 6-ish minutes, but you know, it's worth it for a good result. The hardest part is starting the cut, honestly. And sometimes I do opt for a different saw to start the cut. Okay, looks good. I stop a couple times to make sure that the cut is going straight. And there you go. It's not perfect, but it never is. Anyway. First piece cut off. It's pretty straight, all things considered. Could be worse. There's the first piece. I mean, this kind of thing, it's all slow and steady. You know, you can't, at least with the, with this particular saw, if you try to go too fast, you're just gonna fuck it up. You gotta take your time with it. You gotta really enjoy what you're doing. Here we go. Another little piece. Alright. Last little bit.
on it. Good. It's meditative at the end of the day, but it's a lot of work. This piece of wood is really nice. You can tell over there. I don't know if you can see. These 3 pieces, these 2 are from the first 2x4 that I cut up, and this one is what I'm working on now. It's nice and red, and I don't know what that means. I don't know much about trees. Really, but it has a much better smell than the other one. Just has this beautiful pine smell. It's like, you know, burning some incense in here. So that's been very nice. Try to lose myself in the process. That's all you can do. Alright, that was the last cut, so we're done. Got all these pieces. I haven't counted yet, but hopefully we have 4 3-footers and 4 2-footers. This set of 3s is a little bit longer than this set of 3s, which doesn't matter because the canvases are still going to be, as long as they're the same length, that's what matters. This one set of 2s, they're slightly off, but I don't think it's going to be a big issue. We're just going to set them up, and yeah, put them together. And for this, you want the quarter round to be on the outer edge, which is actually more important in the cutting process, so you don't mess that up. But yeah. So there's 2 joints, and there's the other 2. You know, I've seen better, but I've seen worse. It doesn't look that bad. This corner has a little bit of a gap there. Those do not have any issues. But if I just tilt that up, is that a big issue? I prefer it. It was on the other side. Trying this out. So I always try both orientations just to see which one's better. Actually, I think the problem is this guy. So I'm going to sand him down a bit. Take my 120 grit sandpaper and see where that goes. And hopefully, even with just a little bit of sanding, that fit up becomes a lot better. Yeah, it does. Okay, great. So this is now not too bad. I have certainly seen worse. Okay, there we go. I may as well, I got some time. So I want to start with the joint that I think looks the best. And on this particular frame, stretcher, It's that one. So go back to the beginning. And so for the beginning, when I was nailing the quarter round into the 2x4s, I was using like 1 inch nails, 1.5 inch. And for this, we gotta use 2 inch nails, which is harder, but makes a more secure fit. Strength is coming from the glue, not from the nails. So, as much as you can, just a little bit, there you go. Okay. And then smear them against each other. You want all of it to be connected. If you can put more glue in there. And this is tough. The first nail is always the hardest because you really want it to be pretty good. And so I usually do this one on a diagonal. And you have to hold these guys together so that they don't separate too much. I like the vise. I like the vise idea. Cool. So now that's actually pretty solid already. This is much worse than the last one. Alright, this sucks. I really want these two sides to set really well, but I also want to add this piece in. So I'm just going to do it. We're going to hope for the best. Swear to God it was the hammer. That is crazy how easy that went in. Wow. Alright. What is going on? Wow. I am really blown away. That is crazy easy. Huh. It went through, dude. Went through pretty nice. So there's that. Alright, now this side, last corner. That is for sure a knot. That nail is not enjoying going through. Ugh. Alright, other side. Alright, there she is. Somewhat finished. And my God, was it a hassle. That was horrible. And then I cover them with sawdust because wood glue and sawdust fixes all your mistakes. That's all you did. Still going to be a pretty secure joint. There you go. Now the last two. Hot out here. That's okay. So we're going to move her off to the side so all that glue can dry. And then we're going to get on to the second one. And this one will probably be just as bad. You know how it goes. But that's okay. Less good, but oh my god! That's perfect. I'm not even gonna check the other side. That's so good. Wow. Where did I put my sandpaper? Ah! There it is. I found her. Dude, all things considered, it's pretty beautiful. You do what you can. Definitely a knot. I can tell because that noise, when that gets to like a much higher pitch, and I'm like, oh, that's a different texture that I'm nailing through. I'm sure I'm getting really sweaty now. Probably not enjoyable to watch anymore, but that's what the work is. It's like 90 degrees out, so. Still crazy though. I'm kind of blown away how well these fit together. Pretty close to the machine edge that I've been working with for the last little while. Not ideal. That's crazy. Sometimes nails don't want to go in, and you just got to be gentle with them and let them take their time. Be firm. All right, one last joint, and you know, that's funny. See, because the rest of them look like they're 90 degrees, but then you see this guy just wants to stay open. That's all right. It's all right. We'll work on it. Usually with the last joint, I kind of just put a lot of glue on there and let it drip down, which is not as effective as coating the whole thing, but what can you do? In times like this, what can you do? Nice. All right. That could have been way worse. Could have been way worse. And sometimes what I do, if I think it needs just a little bit extra, bang on it on top, bang on it on the side. That's, damn. Wow, that worked really well. All right. Yeah, a couple of these guys could be better, but that's okay. One more nail through the top. There you go. And then see how these guys do. Nice. And it's going to be balanced. I mean, if you think you're making a perfect canvas, you're wrong. It's always something you can do better, but that's okay. Same ritual, sawdust and wood glue. Classic carpenter trick. Cool. You know, I'm pretty happy, actually. See if we can get them next to each other. These two guys. Alright, cool. That is two finished sets of stretcher bars. Next step is canvas. So, yeah, we'll be doing that next. It's been a couple days. Letting these all dry up. Look pretty good. So yeah, today we're going to be stretching and prepping some canvas. But I did leave a little bit of a mess in here, so first thing I'm going to do is sweep up. And then we'll get going. Okay. I have slightly rearranged the studio space such that you can see this area. So when I go down here, you can probably see me. It's pretty good. Happy with it. Okay. So I bought a bunch of canvas. Probably too much. And so we're gonna open it up and cut out, what are these? These are, so because this is a 2x3, I'm gonna need, if I go both of them, it's gonna be 6 feet on top and 4 feet down. So that's good. So if I measure here, that's 4 feet. You can generally just make like one cut, and then it rips across fairly straight. Because, I don't know, just the way it is. But this one's a little bigger. I'll do the bigger one first. Put this over here for now. And so the way that I'm going to do this is, obviously I want the canvas to go on this side, not on this side, right? That's why we have the quarter round on it. I've seen people make that mistake before. It's pretty tough. And I usually pick one side of the canvas that I like just a little bit better. And I think they are the same. but I just end up having a slight preference, and I'm not totally sure why. Sometimes I pick the more textured side, and sometimes I pick the less textured side. But at the end of the day, I don't really think there's a difference. So, just go for it. Try and get a little less dirty. And then back up. I'm pretty happy with that. So, what I do now is I grab my staple gun, go right here, right in the middle of the top, and get one staple in there. And that's it, and we're done. No. And you turn it over. And you do the same thing on the other side. This time, however, try to pull it just a little bit more taut. You can do it on the other side. Not like a lot, like you can just use your own grip strength to get this down. And there you go. Right in the middle. And then, what I like to do is after that, I do 2 more on this side. Now, I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Also, if you do hit a, what is that called? A knot. It's gonna feel different. You're gonna be like, oh, that staple didn't go through, whatever. Turn it back over. Match those same 2 that you had. So one on the left, one on the right. And this one on the left didn't really go in, so you do one slightly above it. It's not a big deal. Now, flip to the side, and here's where it gets interesting. Okay, so that fell back because there's nothing supporting it, which is not really a huge deal here. But here, this is when I want to like really start tightening. So I'm going to be putting a lot of force down on this one. Still grip strength though. Like I don't want to be really making this like a pulling the whole canvas over to this side. No, I just want to do enough where it's like, okay, that's tight now. And so then you flip that over. And you do the same thing on this side. And this is actually where I usually start using pliers. You should use like canvas stretchers, but they're goddamn expensive. Like why am I paying $30 for a long pair of pliers? So I'm not doing that. Anyway, the only issue with pliers is that it's more likely to rip the canvas. But if you're gentle, not a huge deal. There you go. Now, all 4 sides have been stapled once, at least. I think you're usually supposed to start on the long side. Maybe I'll do that with the next one. The reason I didn't here is because the table support. But yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So now, I'm just going to keep stapling along. I usually will do, like, there's a center staple. I do 1 staple on either side, and then I turn the canvas 90 degrees, and then I keep doing that. So gradually the whole thing tightens up. And these staples are like, I don't know, maybe you can see here, like 2 inches apart. But obviously it depends on the size canvas that you're building, right? And I think about like stretching the canvas down and out from the center, because again, like you do want it to be tight in every direction. So do that.
And sometimes I give the canvas a little bit of a fold, make it easier to grab onto with the pliers. Not a huge deal. And this is nice. This is a pretty small canvas, so I don't have really too much work to do. The part that really takes time is just waiting for the gesso to dry, frankly. It's like the longest part of this process. Actually, the building of the stretcher bars are pretty intense too, but did that the other day, so I'm doing just fine. And now here I'm in the situation where like I'm starting to read that the top and bottom are getting more tight than the sides. Whoa. And I just ripped the canvas, which is not a huge deal. I just staple a couple times above it, and it's fine. There you go. But that's the issue with pliers, is because they're smaller, they are, more likely to rip, but not the end of the world. You gotta know how tight you're pulling, not overdo it. So that's already starting to sound good. I don't know if you can hear it from there, but you want it to sound like a drum. And it's looking pretty flat. Obviously the corners are the last part, so those won't look as good yet, but we're getting there. I think I can go back to the top and bottom. And that right there, about as tight as I could get it without it ripping. So that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Back to the bottom. And as I get closer to the corner, I'm like being more strategic with where exactly I'm stapling. Sometimes I take out the staples that are just not, they just don't look pretty. Yeah, what can I say? Oh no, made a mistake. Ah. What was that? Oh my God. I've actually never seen a staple do that before. What even happened? Is it in the canvas at all? Wow. That's pretty cool. Take that guy out. And there we go. I guess it was in the canvas a little bit. Whoa. It's not ideal for my knees. It's okay. You gotta start thinking about what you want your corners to be. And there's the way that's like, you can probably see this. There's the way that a lot of people do, which is like, you kind of make a little tail and then you fold it down on one side and then you got this little crease here that you see. But there's also, I don't know what they're called. They're called upholstery corners or something like that, where you kind of like fold it in and then down. And then those make a little bit of a nicer seam because it's on the edge. And you can still see the fold on the top or the bottom wherever you do it, but I don't know. And at some point someone told me like, you want your fold to be on the top or the bottom, or the top or the side, depending on whether the canvas is going to be portrait or landscape. And I was like, what? But basically, I think it was probably like, you want the messier part of the canvas to be on the top and bottom because those are not the sides people can see in a gallery. Like they're not really looking at the top and bottom as much, which makes sense a little bit. I think I'm going to do the corners like this. So I think I am going to do the upholstery corner, which is kind of tough. Like, you want to give yourself a little bit of room for the to really get in there, and then you're good. Oh yeah, that's really, really nice actually. So, and I pull really hard on my corners because I think they're important. Other people do not do that. That's okay. And some of this, like, people will say it doesn't matter because the canvas will tighten when you do like the next steps, but I don't find that it tightens as much as I want it to. I really like a very, very taut canvas. So, I don't know. So you can see that corner there. It's the first one. And so it's got a nice crease there. And I'm doing this on the top so that the top is the messy side, because I think I'm going to do this one portrait. Okay. That's good. Now I'm going to pull this even a little bit more. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a few staples here and a bunch of staples here, and that's just because I messed up a lot over here. I'm probably going to pull a bunch of these out because they're not doing much, but sometimes I just hammer them down, hope for the best, and yeah. And then a lot of people will cut off this excess canvas at the end of this process, which I'm not done yet. I have to do those two corners, but a lot of people will cut off all of this stuff, and I don't. I just don't see the need to do that. I don't know, I kind of like it. I did one piece once that was, I used linen instead of canvas, and the way that all worked out is that I had a really nice, like, flowy, long linen coming off the bottom of the canvas, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, so that is an option. But, you know, that's just using the canvas differently. Interesting. Okay. That is a good corner. That is what I'm happy with. It's pretty good. Can't complain. Put that to the side. Start the next one. Whoa. And this is where it starts to get tricky, because after you prep a canvas like that, or after you staple a canvas down, you now are afraid of everything that could touch that canvas to make any dents in it. And that's like, I'm scared.
get very scared. All right, this time I'm gonna do it correctly and start on the long side. See if that makes a difference. I don't know. I'm actually very happy with that one. So, and some people don't care too much about how tight their canvas is. Care a lot. But I had a professor who was like showing me how to tighten my canvas, and he was using like just his tiny little grip strength fingers to get those corners, and I'm like, no. I'm telling him to stop because I'm like seeing where he's gonna staple it, and I'm like, this is not, I can't paint on this. It's gonna be like a saggy canvas, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I get that I don't have my own practice or anything. I'm not like a graduate degree painter or anything, but it's crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, it's okay. Alright. And here, same thing as the other one. One staple in the middle. Flip it. Wow. Pull with just your fingers. Three staples. 1, 2, nice third staple up, and then we flip her over again, and we get 3. Now, if you use worse wood, you might have fewer knots. Or more knots. When I said worse wood, I meant like thinner wood. Nah, that's not even true. That like can't be true. What am I talking about? I don't know. Alright, so I did 3 each side, so now I'm gonna start doing these. And the way that I was taught to do this is like, you see some lines going across in this right now. This is obviously a fold from before, but there's like, you know, generally some lines. When you pull this taut, you're gonna see a triangle form between those. So that's all you really want to do. You don't want to, again, you don't want to pull so much that you're pulling from this side up. You want to pull only from the center out. So that's why this one is not as tight. I'm not really putting my back to that one. And then you flip her over. Oh. This one I do want pretty tight, actually. There you go. And then one on each side there. Pretty good. Start going all sides. Ooh. Oh, we're out of staples. Wonderful. Ugh. Let's get some more. Hopefully these work though. These are new staples. Haven't tried them yet. Oh, yes, they fit. Beautiful. That's good because I bought 3 packs, so if they didn't fit, I would be pretty. It'd be an unfortunate situation, to say the least. Thank goodness. And there we go. That actually is a nice staple. I'm happy with that. I've probably done too many staples on this side. Kind of blacked out there. It is what it is. That was a risky one. Almost did not work. Ugh. I've been doing this for a long time, so it's probably 5 years building canvases. So if yours don't look as good, don't worry, just take the time. You take pride in your work, you love what you do, and you take the time to fix your mistakes. That's honestly what makes a great builder, a great craftsman, a great artist, is not, well, it's not always doing it right the first time. Doing it right the first time just comes with practice. That's not anyone's fault. What makes a great craftsman is having the, I don't know, it's like your character. It's like you truly wanting to do everything right and taking the time to fix it when you do it wrong. That's what makes a great craftsman. There you go. I think at the end of the day, if you do anything, your whole heart and soul into it, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And making something that's good just comes from practice. Like literally nothing else can get you there. It's just how much you practice, how much work you put in, how many hours you log. That's it. I guess that's kind of what art school is too. You just learn so much about the history that the history informs your work. Not that it becomes your work, that it informs your work. You don't ever want to be doing exactly what someone else did, but you want to reference themes and ideas and images that other people have created, because those have become the symbols of the craft. You know, like you can put a reference to a 14th century horse in your painting, and people will find it and notice it and understand that you were trying to communicate something about that horse, right? So where it's positioned and what it's doing, you've now made this language of image. That's pretty cool. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on these corners, so hopefully that means they hold up. But anyway, the second canvas done. Beautiful. I think that one went faster. Getting back into the swing of it, I guess. Anyway, let's put this guy down. And then next step. So there's a few, I like them to be flat. It doesn't change anything, it doesn't do anything, I just like it. Actually, I might add another staple there. Where did I put my staple down? It's a real ratty broom. I kind of like it. I saw some dude in Italy. He was sweeping with one of those like witches brooms. I thought those things were fake. I didn't think anyone actually used one of those. But turns out it looked like a public humiliation. Like this guy was having to clean the streets with a witch's broom. I couldn't imagine it was effective, but I guess it was. I guess they've just been using the same broom for 400 years. I don't know. If it ain't broke, I guess. But it's pretty crazy to me. Beautiful. Okay. I'm supposed to be lightly brushing these with water to get them acclimated to moisture. Oh, that's a little bit much. I am a firm believer in painting edges. I think that the only reason not to do it is laziness. And I don't really... Now, I'm a lazy person, but I want my work to be really, really good. And so I just take the time and get it done. You don't have to paint them crazy like they're a whole new painting. It's not like that. It's just they should be covered in paint. That's all. Shouldn't just be gesso. In my mind. Supposed to do this a few hours before the rabbit skin glue, which is kind of crazy, but it's alright. It'll be okay. And this is like a nylon brush. That's what they told me to get. Again, I have done all this before. It's just been a little while. And the last time I did it, I was so frustrated because, I mean, I had done it on what was an 8x5 foot canvas, which was actually just like, it was so absurdly difficult that I didn't enjoy it, you know? So I think that was my issue last time. So we'll see. I've decided already, I like this canvas better. This one. And that, it just looks better. And that's the one that I did with the correct technique. So, I don't know. Maybe there is something to it. But this is also the smaller one, and I think its edges were better. So I think it might be a product of the stretcher bars and not the stretching of the canvas, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Okay, lovely. And this brush, I only use water, so I don't even have to wash it. I can just leave it over here. And we're good. Now we wait until the rabbit skin glue is ready. And we're back. Alright, so I made the rabbit skin glue off camera in a kitchen. And now it's there. It's hot. And it feels like a better batch than the last time I did this. So how this feels, and it's steaming. I don't know if you can tell. Anyway, so I'm gonna gently brush it on. And yeah, hopefully that works. It is pretty hard to tell what I'm doing, I'll be honest. But I think I have
after a little while, you just kind of get a feel for it. Honestly, the best thing for me telling which parts I've done and which parts I haven't is you can tell a little bit visually, but the texture of the brush over the places that have been painted is a little different. Feels much more sturdy. Okay, that's the whole surface done, I think. Some spaces look like they might need a little bit more, but you can't always trust that either. I don't know if it makes sense, but I want to use more on the edges. Maybe it's just that I have more space to do it. I don't totally know. It's easier to coat the edges than it is the surface. I'm watching it coat the canvas, but I'm not sure that it's filling every crevice. I feel like that's what they want. So I don't know. No idea. Alright, I feel okay about that. And it is a noticeably different color than the other one, so I think that's good. I think it's in a good spot. I think that having to use a smaller brush for this than I would for gesso means it takes more time. This one I'm doing strict grid pattern, I think. Maybe that will seal it better. I don't really know. I love the process of twin canvases, that they are actually cut from the same cloth. A lot of the paintings I do will be cut from this cloth, but these two were cut from the same cloth at the same time. And I was in the same place, mentally, physically, where I built them, and their souls will forever be intertwined. Going in rows. Actually, this is what they said to do. That's so funny. I didn't even think about that. This is exactly what they say to do on the package. And I just didn't even consider it. Totally forgot for the first one. So that's good. Now I know. It does take a long time. I have a pair of pants that I have to wear when I do the oil ground because I wore them the first time and they are now permanently coated in white at the bottom. My God, that stuff is sticky. All right. I've let these dry for like 2 hours. They're not fuzzy, as as I was told that they would be, but that's okay. I'm not super worried about it. What I do have to do is I have to sand them off. So I'm going to take a little bit of 320 grit and get them nice and smooth before I do the next coat. I'm really hoping that the glue didn't dry out while I was waiting for these to dry out. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Feels good. Feels like there's, I don't know, like it worked. Like it dried. Some amount. It smells like it worked, which is kind of funny. Like I can smell the weird, kind of, I don't know, like waft it up into the air. Okay, cool. They're sanded, so I'm ready to go. See if this is still a liquid. And it is. Wow. Awesome. All right, so I can just do it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. And I'm gonna make sure to do these strokes in the opposite direction. So you guys saw me do this one up and down last time, so I'm gonna do a side to side on these. Beautiful. Ugh, brush got dirty. And it's covered in glue, so that's pretty bad. That's it. Second coat, rabbit skin glue is done. And now we wait. And when this dries, then we do the oil ground, and then we start painting. That's it. Alright, so I let both of the canvases dry overnight, and now they're coated in glue. They're a little bit less taut than I thought they would be. I thought it would tighten them up and it loosened them up, which is not bad because they were really tight to begin with. And I think this is still a pretty reasonable tightness for what I want to be doing. And anyway, so now I just brush them off real quick and add the oil ground and then let that dry, and then I'll be ready to paint on. Okay. Oil ground is interesting stuff. I haven't used it a whole lot in my life. I'm going to be opening it with this chisel, which is probably not smart, but it's what I got. And so, in theory, just put it right on there. ideal texture for oil painting is what it says. Thinly spread a small amount of oil onto, let dry overnight. Okay, so you're supposed to do 2 coats of this. We'll see. Thinly spread. Interesting. So I think I can use a brush or a squeegee. Ooh, real gloopy. I wonder if the heat is bad for it. I don't know, but whatever. I kind of want to thin it out a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. It does make such a nice surface though. God, 2 coats of this is crazy though. I know this is my mineral spirits jar, I just don't want to use it. This is gross in there. Alright, that's gonna be fun. Dip. See how that goes. That spreads a little bit easier. Okay, I'm gonna be doing that from now on. The fact that I covered entire canvases in this stuff without mineral spirits is crazy. Yeah, it's gonna get there. It's gonna take time, but it's gonna get there. It's okay. I don't have much time. Much time to spend, much time to waste. It's getting there though. Pretty happy with it. Ugh. Oh no. Made a horrible mistake. I don't know if anyone saw that, but my brush touched the bottom of the mineral spirits jar, which had like some black sludge on it. Which is why I was avoiding using this jar, but I think it'll be okay because I'm not going to do that too often. So the rabbit skin glue would have gotten the canvas ready for the chemicals of the oil to go on top of it. So it really, like the canvas should be safe from the degradation that occurs when putting oil on top of organic fibers, I think. That has a little bit of black on it, but as we saw last time, that actually blends right in. The white pigmentation of this stuff is crazy, actually. It's like so intensely vibrant that I'm really like not worried if a little bit of gray gets in there. I think I'm getting more acquainted with this stuff. I feel like I have a little bit of confidence that it will actually work long term. And, yeah. I'm actually going to sand, I think, in between coats of oil ground. And I've done that before, and like, or not oil ground, but like, it's pretty much just very thick oil paint is what it is. So gesso, because it's the equivalent of oil ground for acrylic. Acrylic doesn't really damage
doesn't degrade the canvas in the same way because it's just plastic. It's like, so if you had that as the base instead of the rabbit skin glue, I don't know, it could be interesting. Try it out, experiment. I do find myself like, the more I learn about building canvases, about working with this kind of stuff, the more that I end up gravitating towards the things that are more difficult. And I don't know if that's smart. I don't think that it is really, but it's fun. I like really enjoy working very, very hard on these things. And I don't know if I get a better product because of it, but I definitely get a different one to do things the hard way. It's not the same as if I were to just buy a canvas from Michael's for $4 and use cheap gesso on it. Like this is it's a labor for sure. It is a labor of love, but you know, I just don't know how much of a difference it would make to someone else looking at the canvas, but I know that I care more about this project because I am spending all of this time getting every little thing right. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. It definitely has a psychological effect. That's my thing. Is that I just don't know if it has a physical impact. Ooh, a little bit of black. It comes right out, dude. None of the pigment that I add into the white does anything. That is crazy. If I ever wanted like a pigmented oil ground, that would be quite an interesting endeavor. Really doesn't seem super plausible. Crazy. It looks great though. Very excited about it. Just have to do all of these now. I also will say this stuff is nasty. If you get it on your hands or your clothes, if you get it on your clothes, it'll never come out. If you get it on your hands, it takes like a week-ish to get out. So just be prepared for that when that inevitably happens, if you do try to do this. It is terrible. I really am not a fan of working with this stuff, but it does make good results. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna just finish this one on my own, but I personally love the way it looks as more space gets filled up. I just love watching it happen slowly.
And it's not as bad as I thought it would be. The mineral spirits help a lot. You just gotta settle in and get comfortable with it. Recognize that it's gonna take you some time. Sometimes I think about, like, I wonder if there are a lot of different people who would fill a canvas the same way. Like, if you're just coating it in white, I know I have a tendency to, like, do it in sections. So I'll do like that half all the way across, and then I'll go back this way. But I always end up with, like, a little bit in the middle that I didn't get to. I don't know, I think it's just the way my brain works. It's easier, and also this edge is always, like, pretty close to done, and I just didn't get to it until the end. Something. But actually, then I end up doing the edge. I don't know, I just wonder if people would go about it the same way. After I do this for a while, sometimes the white paint starts to look a little red. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if it's just the lighting playing tricks on me or what, but... Oh no, the brush is red, that's what it is. Stained from the many red backgrounds I have done. I guess now is usually the part where I really start thinking about what I'm going to do with the painting, how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen with these ones. I think one of them's pretty set in stone, but the other one, I don't know. Whoa, there's a drip. Ah! On this guy. Curious. I wonder if that'll happen on other parts. And I'm sorry, you didn't see that, but that was on the other one. Oh, such a small piece left. So exciting. And yeah, my goal with this is to cover all the grain of the canvas. Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know what you think, but I think I did okay. It's time for the edges. Anyway, so in the pursuit of making a three-dimensional object that happens to be a painting, how do you do that as best you can? And this is, I think, how you do it. Feel very proud of what you've created when you're done. How much time you spent on it. It does kind of prep you too, of like, think about when I do the oil ground, I have to cover the entire canvas in oil twice. And that is no small feat, I'll say. So it kind of gets you prepared for the task of coating it in oil one more time, this time intentionally with color and
Actually went pretty quick. All things considered, pretty easy to do. We're all done. 2 canvases covered in oil ground. Wait for those to dry. Yeah. If I was in a studio, then I could be much more careful with all these little specks of dirt showing up, but I'm not, so. I am back. Same pants, different day. Oh god, this brush is shot. It's fine. Ready to work with this nasty stuff again. So, this should be my paint thinner. This should be my oil ground. I should sand these first. I don't know what I'm sanding with. Let's see. I want it to not have any like fabric grain in it, ideally. Ugh. Tell you what, that's pretty good. That'll be fun. All right, that's done. Now we start back into the oil ground. And the solvent I'm using here just to like thin this down a little bit is mineral spirits. That's like the standard paint thinner. That's what people use. So, yeah. And it's gonna be a lot harder to tell how much of the canvas I have covered because it's already all white. So I'm looking for texture more so here. But we'll see. I don't think I'm really gonna know what's going on. Also, maybe this coat will be a little bit more red. Actually, not sure. Because, as I said last time, this brush is coated in red paint, so just a little bit though. Just a little bit. I don't know if most people sand between coats of oil ground, but I felt like it was necessary, so that's what we're doing. I think my oil ground is getting a little bit red. So I think this is a permanent mistake, but that's alright. Red is not the worst color for this. A lot of people, I imagine people tone their grounds to make them different colors, make it fancy. Because it does change your perspective. It changes the way you view the painting as you're painting it. So. So that's a very interesting texture. And I am able to see now based on the way the light reflects, which is wet and which is dry. So I do know what's going on a little bit. Your process is your process, and the reason you do that as an artist can be as like convoluted and pointless as you want it to be. Because it's about getting yourself in the right headspace to create something that you're proud of. Or not even that you're proud of in some cases, just that will sell. So it really doesn't matter. If your process works for you, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. These are going to be very interesting paintings. I don't know if that's something that happens to you guys, but I feel them like building inside of me as I think about what I'm going to paint, how I'm going to paint it. I've gotten into a headspace that I have to do, because if I don't, then the paintings ruin me. But the idea is that I, as the creator, am only responsible for the painting until it is done. And then it represents a spirit, the painting becomes its own living thing that I helped create, sure, but like, I move on when the painting's done. It's no longer a part of me, no longer something I have control over. And so while the painting in many ways stays the same, I am still free to change and to be different than I was when I painted it. So I have a bunch of paintings that I did when I was a different person. Probably most of my paintings, right? And so I don't claim them anymore as like mine. Like I did them, right? They're completed. My name is on them, whatever. Although I also don't really sign my work, but that's a whole different thing. I sign it if people want me to sign it. If the buyer is, that's important to them. But yeah, the painting is no longer mine after it's finished. It's no longer a representation of me. You can consider it a representation of me while it's being created. Like, I think that I feel very much like I'm putting a majority of my being into the creation of the work. Oh, spiders. That is the thing. I think working in the garage is very interesting. Like, there are spiders living inside of these canvases. Somebody calls this home, you know. They are not sheltered from the world. It's nice having so much natural light in here too. Like, I really feel like that adds to the space. I wonder if that can happen. I wonder if there's ever a day where more spiders come out. Well, now I'm really talking nonsense. It's kind of fun. It's something with spiders living in there. Yeah, like, that's part of the art. I don't know. Oil does this thing where it doesn't dry. And so if you want, and you can't paint something that'll harden really fast over something that'll dry, okay, that'll dry a lot slower, right? And so if you're doing, you do oil underneath acrylic, you're gonna totally mess up all your stuff. Like, that's not gonna end up well. So you gotta keep that in mind when you start doing something like this. But acrylic can be used underneath oils. Like, that's totally fine because acrylic will dry so fast, it's like not a huge deal. And at the end of the day, these canvases are a lot cheaper because I built them and did all the manual labor. So if you do this for no other reason other than to save money, that's fine. If you don't enjoy this work, I love it personally. It makes me very, very happy. Alright, we're done. Both of these canvases have been primed. Now I just have to let them dry. And when they are done drying, it will be time to begin painting. And that you will see all of. So, it's been a couple days. Not too long. I'm going to use some 320 grit sandpaper to finish these guys up. They look pretty white, which is good, I guess. But I'm a little hesitant about some of the spots that I'm seeing. But they come right out, so that's great. I really like using a higher grit for this last section because it I care a lot less about leveling large peaks. And that makes a really, really smooth surface. Actually, wow. Very happy with that. That is good enough. There you go. Cool. That one's done. Set them up here. That is 2 prepped canvases. Look beautiful over there. Ugh. That's pretty much how smooth I want it. It's a really soft surface. And you can still see the grain in there, but it's got a really, really nice texture to it. I've definitely seen better, but most of this canvas is brush strokes. That's most of what you see here. So, very happy with that. Oh, there's a little spider. Alright, cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy. This is just what I do, making canvases. So, you know, and no time I do it is ever perfect. It's never exactly how I want it, but these came out okay. I'm gonna have a fun time painting on them. So I hope you stay and watch those videos too. Thank you. All right, that's it.